Sofia the First, Me and Our Mom. It's Mother's Day, and Sofia is looking forward to the special picnic she and her mom have every year. Just the two of them. Sofia has a pretty pink rose for her mom. She bursts into Miranda's room and shouts, "Happy Mother's Day!" But Sofia stops when she sees the huge bouquet from Amber and James. "Thank you, honey," says Miranda, taking the rose. "Oh, and guess what? I've invited James and Amber to join us on our picnic." When James and Amber run off to get ready, Sofia turns to Miranda. "It's supposed to just be the two of us." "I know," says Miranda, "but I'm not just your mother now. I'm their mother too. It'll be fun, you'll see." Soon after the royal coach sets off, Sofia sees the shadow of something flying above them. She hears cackling, and then suddenly, one of the coach's wheels turns into a watermelon. Everyone climbs out of the coach to take a look. Sofia heads into the woods and finds her little witch friend, Lucinda. "Did you put a hex on our coach?" Sofia asks. "It was my mom," Lucinda explains with a shrug. "I haven't told her I'm a good witch yet, and it's our Mother's Day tradition to do hexes together." "I know what you mean," Sofia says. Then she tells Lucinda about all the fun things she and her mom used to do together. So, Lucinda offers to cast a harmless spell to give Sofia some alone time with her mom. When Sofia returns to the coach, the wheel is fixed. "Some witches put a hex on it," Sofia explains, "but everything's fine now." As soon as they get to the river, Sofia hurries Miranda into the royal rowboat. Flying overhead, Lucinda keeps her promise and makes a pair of magical seahorses appear. They push the boat out on the river. "Where did those seahorses come from?" Miranda wonders. "It must have been those witches again," Sofia says. "But there's Juneberry Island. We could have our picnic, just you and me." "We really should head back," says Miranda. Sofia is disappointed. Meanwhile, back on the riverbank, Bailiwick, James, and Amber are determined to find Sofia and Miranda, so they borrow a fisherman's boat. On the river, Marla zooms over the royal rowboat. "Mom, what are you doing?" calls Lucinda. "What we do best, hex," she says, wiggling her finger and turning the calm waters into rock-filled rapids. "Hang on, Sofia," Miranda says as the boat gets tossed around in the rough water. Then the boat slides up the side of a huge rock and flies into the air. The boat skips across the water, soaking Miranda and Sofia. "Wow," says Sofia. "That was really," Miranda says. "Fun," they say together, laughing and holding on as their boat continues down the river. Marla is having fun too. She turns Bailiwick into a frog. Then she turns the fishing boat into a giant lily pad. "I swallowed a fly," cries Bailey Frog, horrified. "Black, black, black." Sofia and Miranda's boat finally lands on Juneberry Island. "Since we're here," says Sofia, "we could have our picnic?" Miranda shakes her head. "James and Amber are part of our family now. I need to be with all of you." Just then, James, Amber, and Bailey Frog come zooming through the water on their giant lily pad. While Bailey Frog tries to resist eating flies, James and Amber explain what happened. "You went through all that to find us?" asks Sofia. "Wow." Marla and Lucinda fly over Juneberry Island. "It's time to turn things up," Marla says, and up the island goes, magically rising out of the water. "You shouldn't have done that, Mom," Lucinda says. Then she finally confesses that she's a good witch now. But our family has always been wicked witches, Marla says. Lucinda shakes her head sadly and then flies off. Sophia has a confession too. The little witch is my friend, she explains. I asked her to do a spell so Mom and I could be alone today, but I wasn't being a good sister. I'm sorry. It's okay, says James. It is not okay, Amber says, pouting. Amber, says Miranda gently, I know we're still getting used to being a family, but I have enough love for all three of you.
Ribbit,
says Bailey Frog. And you too, Bailiwick, Miranda laughs. Lucinda soon returns to try to unhex the floating island, but the spell is too strong. I don't know what to do, she says. Well, I do, says Marla, joining her daughter. She raises her hex finger to make the island float back down. I thought doing a good spell would make you happy, Marla says with a wink. Then Miranda invites Marla and Lucinda to stay and enjoy the picnic. Do you have any fried bat wings? Asks Marla. Mrs. Witch? Says Sophia, pointing to Bailey Frog. Oh, okay, says Marla, undoing her hex. I guess we have a new family tradition, Sophia says happily. As long as no one turns Bailiwick into a frog again, adds Amber. Happy Mother's Day, James says. Bailiwick smiles.
Ribbit!
Sofia the First, Princess Lesson. A true princess includes everyone.